Hi everyone, I am Samantha Tier and welcome to Chats. I am currently in downtown Indianapolis at the Marriott. We are here for the Steward Speakers Series featuring actress Viola Davis. As you can see behind me, we've got the crowd. They are currently eating dinner right now. We've got Mrs. Davis. She is actually over there. She is taking pictures, interacting, talking with fans, and she is also going to give a lecture here shortly. So check this out.
Well, thank you, Steward Speakers Series, for thinking that I have something to say, and for thinking that I can inspire you. So, in the words of Malcolm X, I'm going to make it plain. You know, they say that if you tell your story in front of people who have empathy and compassion, shame can't exist. And there's no way to talk about black women and being a part of the narrative in Hollywood without telling my story. And my story, of course, begins when I was born in 1965 in St. Matthews, South Carolina, on a Singleton plantation. I was born in my grandmother's house. As my mom said, Clara Johnson, the midwife, was late. So my grandmother had to deliver me. And I was my mother's 5th child. She started when she was 15. She got married to my dad and had her first child at 15, and I was her 5th child. And my dad had 2nd grade education, my mom 8th grade education, and then when I was 2-3 months old, we moved to Central Falls, Rhode Island. My father groomed horses on the racetrack, and 2 of the biggest racetracks were in Rhode Island. In fact, it was through his career grooming horses that he learned how to read, by looking at billboards on the side of the road. So we moved to Central Falls, Rhode Island in 1965, and we were the only black family there. And we lived in abject poverty. And I say all this because there's nothing in my life that spoke celebrity. There's nothing in my life where I saw potential to be anything. And because we were living in poverty, no plumbing, no phone, hungry, very little food, we lived in a condemned house because the city let us live there, because the house was about to be torn down to make way for a school, so they let us live. It was an apartment building, and it was infested with rats. And so we would listen to the rats kill the pigeons every night. That's how we went to sleep. And we were chronic bedwetters. We would go to school because we didn't have hot water most of the time, and frequently we would be asked to leave because we smelled. And then in 3rd grade, I always remember there was 8 to 9 boys, and I knew exactly who they were, because I would position myself in the back door of the school, and as soon as the bell rang, indicating that school day was over, I was prepared to run home as fast as I could, crying at the top of my lungs because 8 to 9 boys were chasing me, saying, "Ugly black nigger," every day with sticks and bricks. And so that was my beginning. Constantly ugly, black, nigger, being brought up with people who were blonde of French origin, being on the periphery, hungry. And so how can a dream fester in that? But I remember 128 Washington Street was the house or the apartment that we lived in that was infested with rats. And I remember it was boarded up too. And the first flight of stairs going up the apartment building were gone. So literally we had to try to leap from the first level of the stairs just to get to the second floor, then the third floor. But as God would have it, because I'm a believer that if you numb the dark, you numb the light. And so in the midst of this apartment that was really a nightmare, a dream was born. And the dream was born when I saw the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. It was a miniseries on television. And I don't care what anyone says, it is a powerful experience to see a physical manifestation of one's dream. And to see Cicely Tyson with that dark skin and those full lips, and to see her transformation from the age of 18 to 105, I can't explain it. Because I watched That's My Mama. You remember That's My Mama with the Movie Kid and Sanford and Son and Good Times and Baby I'm Back, and I loved it. I drank it up. But there was something different about this performance. Because what I saw was craft. Craft. Which, by the way, in Hollywood, can be a dirty word. People are into celebrity. I just, spoke to a driver in LA who said his brother teaches acting class in Los Angeles, and all of his students just say, just make me good enough just so I can get the role. I was introduced to craft. And I thought to myself, if I can do that, I can make a life. And perhaps that could be the key to me living a life that I love my parents more than anything on the planet. But I didn't want to be my mother. I wanted something better for my life. There is a whole prototype of a hero's journey. And usually a hero is someone who just wants to be better. And usually their life always starts with them coming into life normal. But something in their life is pulling at them. And then they get the call to adventure. My call to adventure was I wanted to be an actress. That's what I thought. I want to be an actress. And then at the age of 8, I remember my sisters, who were very clever, we decided we were going to be a part of a skit contest in Central Falls. And we were going to win. We were determined to win. Once again, I didn't want to be my mother's daughter. So I said, we got to win this. And so my 3 other sisters, we decided we were going to write our own skit. And we were going to beat those white girls. And they were white, that's how we thought. The girls who call us nigger nigger. The people who kept us at the periphery. The people that we thought just kept us on the outside. We were going to win. And so we wrote a skit. We had rehearsals. We had even different roles that we played. I was the producer actor. My sister was the director actor. We had rewrites. We had a wardrobe budget of $2.50, which, by the way, brought us a whole costume at Salvation Army. And I remember, as fate would have it, that the rewrites took place in a closet that was infested with rats. But I went in that closet to do those rewrites. And I remember the day that we went to Jenks Park And we saw the first group of girls get up there to do their skit, and everyone in Central Falls was there. They were sitting everywhere. And these girls really felt like they were gonna win. And we saw their skit and they were like, we're gonna get this. And I say that because we got up there and we did the skit. And the skit was just a bunch of the characters that we know from black shows. That's My Mama, we had the Ooey Kid, and we had Fred Sanford. My sister Diane played Fred Sanford because she was short. And my sister Anita put my mom's wig on and my mom's clothes, and she was Esther. We had one white character, Monty Hall from Let's Make a Deal. That was my sister Dolores. And we did a fictitious game show, I remember. And we won. And it wasn't important. And we won like a plastic softball, which we didn't care about. We just cared about winning. But the rush of it, the validation, was addictive. And I felt then that I'm on my way. And after that, it just became a series of me trying to act as much as I can. I never had the roll of toilet paper that people sometimes, take that cardboard that's in the middle of toilet paper and they put it up to their mouth and they look in the mirror and they're practicing their Oscar and Tony speech. I never did that. I just wanted to be great. I wanted to be good at what I did. I wanted to transform. And so I started it any way I can in high school, Rhode Island State Drama Festival. I never ever let people tell me that I couldn't do it. Because remember, I didn't want to be my mother's daughter. I wanted to be better. And I'm getting the scholarship to the Young People's School for the Performing Arts. I had to take a bus one way, 3 hours at 14, one way. I would take the bus from Central Falls to Pawtucket, then Pawtucket to Providence, then Providence to the edge of Massachusetts, and then I would walk the last 2 miles. I wanted it. I thought that was a small price to pay. And then I realized, slowly but surely, that I could be really good at it. And here's the reason. I felt that acting was my way of reconciling my childhood. I felt that all the pain and all the humanity that I would see even in the midst of my home with my father's angst and alcoholism, and my mother just never really tapping into her power, for me it was ripe ground for an artist. And I felt the more I could tap into that truth of humanity and show it on stage, the better actor I could be. I could see that I could move people. I could see that I could make them feel less alone. Once again, the journey of the hero is also, once you get that call to adventure, then a lot of obstacles are in your path. Well, my obstacle was that I just had to do it. I had to be an actor. But there was nothing in my life that showed me that there was a bridge between me doing what I did well and being on TV or the stage or on film. So I remember I went to Rhode Island College. I got my degree because I also wanted my degree. And then I chose to go to Juilliard because I asked someone, so how do you get a job as an actor? Because I don't know how you get a job. I don't want to just be a good actor in a community theater little stage. I want to get work. He said, well, you have to go to Juilliard because, after Juilliard, you get to audition in front of agents and everything, and then that agent will send you out on auditions. And I said, okay, then we're going to go to Juilliard. So I went to Juilliard. That was a 4-year program. And then after Juilliard, I said, okay, well, I have arrived because I have an agent. All I have to do is go out there and audition, and they're going to see how great I am, and then I'm just going to start getting work. That's just what's going to happen. But once again, I didn't want to be my mother's daughter. But at 28, I realized I was very much my mother's daughter. I was running from those 8, 9 boys as fast as I could, snot dripping, crying, saying, you can kiss my behind, cussing them out. My feet stopped running, but my spirit did not stop running. My spirit internalized everything that was told I was. And at 28 and 30, I realized that in the midst of being out in an industry that embraced women who did not look like me. I mean, even amongst our people, it's not my hue that people are seeking for certain roles. And so I'm out there and I'm auditioning, and at the same time trying to reconcile the fact that I don't feel worthy. How do you do that? How do you fight a culture that has told you time and time again that if you are darker than a paper bag, you're not cute? You're not cute, you're not smart, you're not too much of anything. And then slowly what I began to realize is that it's hard to get a job in an industry where 95% of the people are unemployed at any given time. People you see on TV and film represent less than 1% of the profession. 700 actors work all the time. They're the ones making 50 grand a year or more. 5% just make enough to have Plan 2 health insurance. And that's 14 grand a year. I didn't know that. I just know that I wanted to do what I loved. And I think my big aha moment, and that's on the path of being a hero. And by the way, anyone can be a hero. Anyone. Not just Obama. But a mother, a father, anyone who wants to live a life bigger than themselves can be a hero. And my big aha moment came when I realized, and once again, you always need a mentor. I had a lot of them. But one was really, really good, and she was a therapist that I saw. And I was just going on and on. Now I don't feel this. I'm not that. Why can't this happen? Why can't I be this? And she said something that was very powerful. She said, Viola, if you never change, if you stay exactly who you are, can you accept it? And I thought, they're paying you $100 an hour to tell me that? But truly, at one point, when I was trying so hard, because even when I was running, I'm running. But I'm running as Marsha Brady, trying to run back to my home where Mike and Carol were waiting with 3 square meals a day. And even while I was running, even throughout my life, I was trying to be everyone else. At one point, Diana Ross. At one point, Oprah. And then I finally said, I'm just going to be me. And that's what I went into auditions with. Every audition. It's my attractiveness. It's my sexuality. It's my humor. It's my walk. It's my size and my body. Because here's the thing with acting. And I know this after being in the business for 27 years, and my past does count for something, by the way. My training counts for something. I feel like I am just as good as the people who've had my same background. The thing with acting is that acting is about transformation. If you exist on this planet Earth, your stories, how many people are in this room? 900? You, in all of your imperfections, the way you walk, if you have glasses, if you're walking with a cane, if you're married, if you've dated anyone, if you're, I don't know, a sex addict. Your story deserves to be told. It cannot be filtered. The less it is filtered, and the more that craftsman, that actor, can show every minute detail of your life, the better the actor. White people do it. They did it with Monster. They did it with Silence of the Lambs. We go on and on. The imperfections of what makes us human at the end of the day, the vulnerability. And so I figured, why can't I be sexual? So I'm going about my life, but literally the roles I'm being offered don't reflect my belief system. Listen, when I got the call to do this speaking engagement, I was very nervous because I could be up here for 4 hours telling you my journey, but I have to give you an abridged version. The roles I was offered do not reflect who I am. They don't reflect who you are. So how do you reconcile that? When you're also dealing with the fact that you're in an industry where 95% of the people are unemployed at any given time, 1% maybe making 50 grand or more. You're dealing with student loans. I come from a family who can pay my student loans. I still have to live. I still have to have a life. How do you reconcile it? We also have a political structure as African Americans where image and message is sometimes more important than execution. So sometimes, in order to please my people, I can't be an artist. And what that means is I get a character. It's not a good mother, not a really great person, messy, but very human. What do? I gotta satisfy you. I gotta satisfy my art. And I gotta try not to be the 95% that's not working at any given time. So once again, I'm not getting those roles that reflect who I am. So what do? And the more I went along in the business, and it is a business, what I realized is I have got to be a strategist. Because it's not awards that get you work. You audition, you get the role if you're lucky. And you get your salary based on what you made before. It's kind of like if you walk into a, I don't know, Bank of America, and you wanted to be a CEO, and you say, well, the only place I ever worked was McDonald's, but I want to be the CEO of your company. So you got to give me a salary of $1 million, even though I've only ever made $10 an hour. See, as an actor, if you've made $50,000 in your last movie, you can't walk into the office and say, listen, so-and-so got $5 million, so I deserve $5 million. It doesn't work like that. Exactly how it works for you is how it works for us as actors. So what I begin to realize, especially after my first Oscar nomination and then my second, because all of a sudden I'm in a room of people who are on a different level. What I begin to realize is that you don't see any of us. The higher you climb, the less you see us. You don't see us in roles of power at all. The people who make the green light vote don't look like us. And so what I realized after the help is I had to use my power strategically. Is that I had to stay relevant, and I had to find a way to have bankability. Not just talent, but bankability. And at the same time, I'm shedding the whole notion of not being my mother's daughter. So the more I began to work like that, and the more in my personal life that I begin to not apologize for who I am, is it made it easier to walk into any place and make my presence known, even in roles. If you gave me a role of a bus driver, I'll be the most interesting bus driver. I'll be the bus driver that has a pass, everything in those 2 lines. You give me the role of, I don't know, the mayor of Philadelphia, I'll be an interesting mayor of Philadelphia. But then I got tired of that. I know I'm in bigger movies now, I got my second Oscar nomination. But still, there's no way to shine your light if you're a bus driver. It's hard to be great when you're the third girl from the left. It's also hard to be great when you're dealing with a culture that only sees you in a certain way. And people ask me all the time, why did you take the role in How to Get Away with Murder? And I'm always confused by that question, although I do not think that there are any stupid questions. But I am confused by that question. Because for me, I have never gotten a role like Annalise Keating. I've never been offered a role like Annalise Keating. Ever. In my 27-year career. Maybe on stage, but certainly not in TV and film. And at the same time, my husband and I had formed a production company called Juvie, and we had so many stories that I always dreamed of doing so that I could use my art, the Barbara Jordan biopic, and Harriet Tubman, who she really was, and personal history of Rachel Dupree, the story of VJ Records. I'm just thinking, okay, so how do I jumpstart this production company and then do what I want to do, fight an industry? You fight a lot of battles when you're an actor of color. So I took this role on How to Get Away with Murder. And as I'm watching the pilot episode, horrified, because you're always horrified when you watch yourself, I'm looking. And I had an aha moment. Once again, the journey of a hero. You fight the battles, you're slaying dragons, and then you get that sweet elixir of what you want, and then once you get it, you go back to your tribe and you tell them about it. And here was my aha moment. I'm looking at myself as I'm on my umpteenth diet to try to lose my last 20 pounds. Because I said, oh yeah, well, I have to be sexual. I have to look a certain way. Look at what women look like on TV. So, and I'm looking at myself going, okay, I don't look like that. I saw the wig. I saw the lashes. And my aha moment came when I thought, I'm going to embrace that. I'm going to embrace a woman who gets up in the morning. She's got her hair twisted. And she puts on the mask, the lipstick, the lashes, the hair, and presents herself to you to be accepted, to live in a world where she can navigate, but that at home, who is she? The person who can't keep her personal life together, but when she has to be on it, and she's got that public persona, she's on top of it. She buys the heels because they're cute, but she don't know how to walk it. She married a man because it seemed like a good idea and a good career move. He was sympathetic to her needs, and now it's kind of waned. Now she's got a boyfriend. She comes from a history of sexual abuse, which, by the way, is 1 out of every 4 girls. Because here's the thing, and this was a big aha moment, is every time I've seen a woman on screen, and I thought to myself, this is it. By the way, I'm digressing a little. I said, this is it. This is why I'm running from these boys. This is my life coming full circle. I have very rarely seen women on screen that I buy. The women who I know in my life look like me. And they're messy. And they're sexual. A lot of them come from sexual abuse. A lot of them wear wigs. It's only on TV that they're strong and on top of it for effect. And we watch TV because we want these characters to be something that we're not. We want the fantasy. We want them to say what we want them to say, do what we want them to do, but that is not being an artist. As Arthur Miller says, he created his plays because he wanted people to feel less alone. And so as an artist, I said, I'm going to be a real woman. I'm not just going to be a Mr. Potato Head putting together something that men want to sleep with. And all the narratives that my husband and I have done with our production company, Lila and Eve, which I did with Jennifer Lopez, and now I'm doing Custody this summer, and then Harriet Tubman, which I'm doing with HBO, and Barbara Jordan biopic that I'm doing with And with all of them, I always there's a lot of messages that I have that I feel that I can inspire people with. It's my personal journey and personal story of coming from what I saw as nothing, but was a lot of something. Because it's my story. I'm more than my scars. And I believe absolutely wholeheartedly in vulnerability and failure. I think that's the one thing we never talk about. I think that they exist in me just as powerfully as my joy and my strength. And then the story of the artist, because I believe that every African American has a story. And it's not just the Obamas and the Barbara Jordan. Our stories are just as ripe and rich if we have the courage to tell them, not being filtered. I mean, there's so many of our movies that are fabulous, but the one thing that I admired about Cicely Tyson, and by the way, it was my idea to have her on the show, and very good she let the sweat run down, no makeup, unadorned. She had the courage to be honest. That's art. That's truth. That's what changes lives. That's what influenced me. And that's what stands the test of time. And you know, finally, and I know, because I did the help, and I got a lot of flack for the help, but I knew I was going to get flack, that's okay. But the thing about the help, I know a lot of people said, okay, Viola, we can't support you in this, you're playing maid. And but trust me when I said, I really was okay with that. But a lot of people would say, I'm not going to support that movie, I'm going to see something else. I'll see Spider-Man, I'm making something up. I'll watch Spider-Man, so I could give Hollywood a message that we don't want to see another story about a maid. Well, you already gave them a message when you paid a ticket to see Spider-Man. These are not people, it's just like a great white shark that just feeds and sleeps and poops. Hollywood just is seeking that dollar. So when you don't support a movie that is predominantly African American, you are giving them a very precise message that you don't want to see that. And just like Caucasians will support King's Speech, which by the way has made 500 million worldwide, Mamma Mia, Into the Woods, Theory of Everything, we have different stories too. I mean, come on. We have different stories. They're totally different. We have a whole wealth of actors of color, artists of color who are unknown. They're in the graveyard of unknowns because there's not enough work out there. There's not enough narratives where they can show what they can do. But you have the power of this. Support our art. You know, we put a lot of importance on going it alone. I mean, that's what our culture is about. You go it alone. You rise up. You know, you can't wait for anyone. You just, you know, everything is about winning. You could do anything. And we separate people from the ones who help and the ones who need help. But truthfully, we're all both. We need the help, and we have to give the help. And as an artist, I'm telling you, you can't go it alone. And sometimes you do feel like you're in a vacuum. And just like I'm running from those 8 boys, sometimes I'm running from my own people who are constantly telling me that this is what I can or cannot do. This is what I can't see her doing, and you need to give that role to Taraji P. Henson because she'll do a better job, and she's not sexy, and she's not, I'm you. I thank you for this opportunity for me to share my story. And I find that every time I tell my story, I am so empowered. I feel like I'm owning it, you know? And I always ended by saying when I was 9 years old, it's kind of a horrific story, but you know what? There's a blessing in it. My father passed away in 2006 of pancreatic cancer, devastating. I loved that man. But you know, when we were growing up, he was an alcoholic, angry for many reasons that I understand now. And he and my mom were fighting when I was 9 years old. It was in the middle of the night. And he was beating her with a stick, beating her legs. And she was screaming, we were screaming. But then I never stopped screaming, couldn't stop. And I remember my oldest sister, Diane, said, Viola, you gotta stop screaming. And I couldn't, so she threw me in the house and she said, just go in the bathroom, just get away. And I ran in the bathroom and I got down on my knees, clasped my hand together, and I said, God, this is Viola in Central Falls, Rhode Island. And God, I'm gonna count to 10. And when I open my eyes, I want to be gone. I want to just disappear. And if you don't do that for me, you don't exist. And I clasped my hand and I counted to 10 and I opened my eyes and I was still there. And I said, okay, you didn't take my life. You weren't there. But he did take my life. He has carried me all the way. I accept all of it. I count it all joy. Thank you so much to Matthew Stewart, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Thank you so much for having me.
I was moved when you talked about your mother. So how did you reconcile being your mother's daughter? Because if you were in that front row, you could see that you were tearing up as you were trying to get through that. And I know you moved me, I'm sure you moved everyone in the room. So can you talk a little bit about that, how you were able to sort of reconcile that? Because obviously, you're fantastic, so your mom has to be fantastic. So.
The saying is that forgiveness is giving up all hope of a different past. And I realized that my mom did the best she could with what she knew. That's right. And I think she did a fantastic job. Yeah.
What advice do you have for young and aspiring actors and actresses?
You can't just go out there and say you're going to be a celebrity. Celebrity is a byproduct of your work. And really, you may never get a job. That's just being honest. So if you're going to go out there and you're going to go for it, you might as well go for it because you love it. Because I'll tell you, the work is great, the lifestyle is questionable. You gotta love it. So learn it, learn your craft.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm a high school student, and I was wondering what you would recommend to other young girls who have strong dreams. How do they go about and achieve them?
You know, I tell my 4-year-old daughter every day, my husband says, okay, Genesis, what are you going to do today? She says, my best. And then I say, Genesis, what are the 2 most important parts of you? And she says, my head and my heart. And that's how I feel with young women today. I feel still, not all the time, that we place a lot on how we look as women and how much men accept us and think that we're pretty. Everything is about being pretty. Everything is about having that front on, you know? And I think it does you a great disservice. Once again, it's leading your authentic life. That's the first thing that's going to open you up to your dreams. And then you have to ask yourself, what are my dreams? Not what somebody has told you what they have to be. What do you really want? When you go home at night, do you sit down and think about what really makes you happy? What makes you happy?
Me personally?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to say it right now. I'm just saying, what would make you happy? What would make you happy? Because I'm telling you, that's when midlife crisis comes in, because you get what you want, and then you're like, I didn't really want this. So it's a matter of really asking yourself, what are your dreams?
What is your most inspirational object or person that pushed you to be an actor?
Besides my mom, I just have to say Miss Tyson. Only because of her excellence, seeing her work. And after Fences, I did Fences on Broadway. And after I won the Tony Award, the day after, I picked up the phone rang, I picked it up, and someone said, hold the line, Miss Tyson is on the phone. And I was like, oh my God. And I waited, and she said, you're not surprised, are you? And I said, she said, come on, you're not surprised. And I said, well, actually, Miss Tyson, I was surprised to win that award. She said, I wasn't. She said, because I know the road. And there was something so powerful about that. Because you have no idea what it feels like to talk about what you do with people who don't understand it. Almost no one understands what you do. Even people who watch TV all the time. But for her to say, you deserve it, you did the work, and you should appreciate it because I know the road. It was a powerful moment for me. So I have to say she's been the biggest influence for me.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed our lecture series tonight that was filmed. I know I did. Miss Davis, she was very inspirational, very, very inspirational. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel because we will be bringing you more interviews, more candid footage, and features of some of your favorite stars. So subscribe, subscribe, subscribe.